Hi, and welcome to this section of the Geometry Tutor where we're going to talk about circles and circular figures. In fact, this is the first part of the course where we've actually started to talk about circles at all, and we're actually going to focus on the circumference of a circle, which I know you've heard that term before, and also the area of a circle. It's not going to be very hard, so let's just jump right into it. Well, first, let's do what I always like to do, and let's just draw a picture, because pictures can really make things clear. So there's a circle. Okay, alrighty. Now here's a line that goes all the way through the center of the circle. It goes through the very center point of the circle, and it goes all the way from one side to the other. Okay, that line has a very special name. This distance from here to here has a very special name, and it's called D. Okay, which means diameter. Okay. So it's a term you're learning here. This is the diameter of the circle. All it means is it's just the distance, okay, that goes through the center of the circle from one side to the other. It's called the diameter. Now, the distance just from the middle of the circle to the edge has a very special name. We label it R, and that's called the radius of the circle. Now these are two, if you haven't been exposed to this stuff before, these two words even by themselves can make things seem kind of complicated or hard. But this is stuff that's simple for anyone to understand. If you take a circle and you cut it exactly in half. Now notice we didn't cut it here. Okay, we didn't cut it up here. It had to go exactly through the center of the circle. Then that distance here is called the diameter, and the half of that distance is called the radius, because the radius only goes from the middle to the edge and the diameter goes from edge to edge. So from there you can see that the radius is just one half of the diameter. So let's talk about something very, very important. We're going to talk about the circumference of a circle. Okay, of a circle, circumference of a circle. Okay, the circumference, very simply, is basically like the perimeter. When we talked about the perimeter of a square, we said, okay, if we walk around the edge of the square all the way around, how far would we have walked? Okay, circumference is perimeter. That's exactly what it is. It's just, it applies only to circles. They picked a different word to use. You could say the perimeter of the circle, but nobody does. Everyone uses the term circumference. Circumference means if I start out at one point and I walk all the way around here and I have a tape measure and I figure out exactly how far I've walked, the distance I've walked is called the circumference, just like the distance was called the perimeter when we were talking about squares and rectangles and other stuff. So the circumference of any circle, okay, is equal to, and I'm going to explain this, something called pi times the diameter of this circle. Now forget about what pi is for a minute, we'll talk about that. But it's something called pi times the diameter. That's why the diameter is so incredibly important. Now, because the radius is one half the diameter, you can also say that the circumference is equal to 2 times pi times r. So these are two different ways of saying the same thing. Pi times d, or 2 pi r. Because look at it, two r's, r here and r here, 2 times r is equal to the diameter. So because it's pi times d, if you just take d out and you replace it by 2 times r, then you get this other formula, 2 pi r. Sometimes you use this one depending on what you have. Maybe you have the diameter in your problem and you have that number in your figure and you could use this number here. Sometimes you only have the radius and you use this one here. But in any case, if you're given the radius, you're just multiplying by 2